and correct you on something that you've said a couple of times that's already been proven not to be true by even Snopes.
What's that?
Well, in J.D. Vance's book, he never talks about a couch, Brian. Never even mentions.
I never said in his book he talked about a couch. I was making a joke. What's wrong with you? Don't you have a sense of humor? Do I really think that?
Well, it's kind of like
do I really? No. Hold on.
Like the golden shower thing with Trump.
Hold on.
Y'all are perverted in your mind.
So first of all, don't talk to me about perversion when you support the guy who has unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after his wife has a child. And hold on. I'm not done yet. The guy who bragged about going into 15 and 16-year-old female locker rooms when he ran pageants. By the way, Donald Trump went on the Howard Stern show. Hold on. Donald Trump went into locker rooms when he ran pageants and bragged on the Howard Stern show about going into locker rooms with 16-year-old girls naked. Would you call that perverted? Yes or no? It's a very simple question.
Did we know about that in 2016? I think we
excuse
knew about that in
excuse
2016.
me. I didn't ask you.
Yeah,
sir,
we did.
Patrick, I need you to focus, okay? I didn't ask you when we knew about it. That wasn't the question. The question was, would you consider being perverted when somebody brags about going into female locker rooms, pageants of teenagers? Yes or no?
When they're getting dressed.
I'm asking you a question. I'd like an answer. Do you think that's perverted?
No, not at all, Brian.
It's not. Okay, got you. Yeah, you're very. Hold on, Patrick. You see, you're very fair, Patrick. So going into locker room. No.
I got a question.
You're gonna wait before your stupid question. You call into this show, and I make a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting couches, which is obviously a joke. I don't believe he's sexually assaulting couches, and I actually think it's funny. And we're not joking about sexually assaulting women. That would be wrong because there's nothing funny about that. But you think that's inappropriate and you think that's perverted. Okay, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I disagree with you. But then when I ask you something in real life, the orange turd who you support, and he openly bragged on the Howard Stern show about going into female locker rooms of teenagers. He also said that they were getting dressed and some of them were naked, and they, quote, let him do it because he ran the pageant, and he bragged about it on the Howard Stern show, but that's not perverted. Patrick, when I call you a hypocrite and an idiot, that's why. Why can't you just say, you know what, that's inappropriate and that's wrong? You think it's okay for somebody to go into a locker room with teenage girls that are undressing, and you can't admit that that's perverted? What the hell is wrong with you?
All right, can I make a statement, Brian?
When you answer my question and answer it honestly and stop trying to, I don't know if you're trying to be funny, because it's not funny. What if that was your daughter? Do you see anything wrong at all with somebody not given permission when the girls don't know, going into a female locker room when they're undressing? Are you okay with that? Answer the question, yes or no. And don't try to be funny about it.
Why does it even matter if I'm okay with it?
Why won't you answer the question, you frickin' MAGA coward? Answer the question, and I'm going to ask it one more time. And if you don't answer it honestly, I'm going to move on to the next caller. Because it's okay to have differences of opinions. I don't mind that at all. And then I'll let the conversation continue. But you are going to answer this question, because now this is the 5th time I've asked it. You were so upset that I made a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting a couch. That got you so upset that you used your little MAGA fingers to call in. I'm going to ask you one more time, and you better answer honestly, because I'm going to lose a lot of respect for you if you don't. Not that I had any respect for you to begin with. Donald Trump owned pageants. In this case, it was a teen pageant. And without getting permission from any of the girls that were undressing, he went in there. How do we know this? Not only eyewitnesses and women that have talked about it, that at one time were teenagers, but Trump bragged about it on the Howard Stern show. So I will ask you one more time. Are you okay with, and do you think it's appropriate for somebody to go into a female locker room, teenage girls that are undressing, and for that person to go in there because they own the pageant, to look at teenage girls naked and then gloat about it? Are you okay with that, Patrick, or do you think that's inappropriate or perverted, as you would say?
It's not a concern to me, Brian. It happened over 20 years ago.
Then get lost. Oh, okay, because it happened 20 years ago, it's not a concern to you. Patrick, you're a MAGA deplorable coward is what you are. So if something happened 20 years ago, you're okay with it. So if somebody got prosecuted for rape It happened 20 years ago, so you're okay. So I'm sure you're okay with all the rapes that Bill Cosby committed. As long as it happened 20 years ago, it's okay. Patrick, you're a complete idiot. You call into this show, and you have a problem with me making a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting couches. You think that's inappropriate. But yet you're okay with your MAGA turd rapist leader going into locker rooms with teenage girls that are naked without getting permission to do so. As long as it happened 20 years ago, you're not concerned with it. That's okay. But if a radio host makes a joke about J.D. Vance sexually assaulting a couch, which was a joke, by the way, that's inappropriate. Patrick, you're an idiot. You're a MAGA deplorable. And I caught you. 702-221-7. What's going on?
Hi, Gary. You got a question?
Didn't Brian hire you to be a Trump dumbbell and call up the show?
No.
If he didn't hire you,
No.
You're not doing anyone any favors. You sound like a complete schmuck. But next to Brian Shapiro, you're a bigger schmuck than Brian.
All right.
I have an opinion, and you don't like my opinion.
Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second. One at a time. Gary, I want to interject. Since you interjected me into this conversation, why am I a schmuck?
Because you're the. All right, I'll tell you why.
Hey,
because
Gary,
you
it
think
sounds like
Howard
you've just
Stern-
developed a stutter. Do you have a stutter, or is that something that just developed during the show?
Because you're an insulting jerk off.
Okay,
That's why.
Okay, so are you voting for Donald Trump, Gary?
I'm not voting for either one.
Okay,
That's what I'm
so
doing. Stop asking questions and give me a chance to talk.
Gary, I'm going to do whatever I want to do because it's my show and not yours. You say I'm insulting.
Why do you have a
Let
show?
me be very.
Why?
I'll tell you
That's
why
the
I have.
big question.
Get him off, and I'll explain to him why I have a show. Gary,
Gary, vote for Trump.
Gary, here's why I have a show. And for many of you MAGA deplorables out there, let this be a lesson to you. You see, at the age of 19 or so, I decided I want to do radio for a living. I majored in communications, worked at my college radio station, got my first job in radio when I was 21 years old. I wasn't making a ton of money at the age of 21, but I did it because I was passionate about it. And then I moved to Vegas and I got another job. That led me to another job, and I was a reporter for 10 years. Worked my butt off. Never made boatloads of money, but I worked my ass off. And then about 13 years ago, maybe, somewhere around there, I said, I want to do my own show. I got an opportunity to do that. Again, worked my butt off at a small AM radio station. Then it led me to another opportunity where I worked my butt off, and I was doing a morning show up against Rush Limbaugh when he was alive. And then it led me to this show where I continue to work my ass off every day. Because you see, Gary, I got a college degree. I worked hard to get to where I want to be. And that's where I am right now, speaking to mostly intelligent listeners of this program, mostly intelligent, smart, informed listeners who appreciate what I do, and I appreciate them. That's how I got on the air. While you call into these shows and use your little MAGA fingers and call up and try to insult me. See, I hope I answered your question because nobody gave anything to me. I had to earn it. I had to earn this show. I had to earn my degree, and I had to earn every job that I had in the radio business. I hope I answered your stupid MAGA question. Go ahead and vote for your liable rapist and have a nice day. All right, let's take one more caller that will have an opportunity to speak to Tommy. Let's go to Darlene. Darlene is next. Hello, Darlene.
Hi, Darlene.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
I called in yesterday, and I'll try to be calmer than I was yesterday. But I want to ask Gary and Tommy a question.
Sure.
Did your mama drop you guys on your head when you were babies? Because you're the most screwed up, messed up men I have ever heard in my life.
Tommy.
And how dare you say anything bad about Brian? Brian is the person that people need to listen to because he tells the truth. And
I
you
appreciate that.
men, you two ignorant men, I would be ashamed to even live in a state with you because you're so ignorant. And women do not appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. Tommy, where do you live? What state do you live in, Tommy?
Yeah.
I live in the great state of Texas.
Oh, boy.
The Lone Star.
Oh, well, there you go. It's Texas. I can't. No, that figures.
Darlene,
Yes.
is that your name? First of all, I don't know what my mom has to do with this. Secondly is, I
She dropped
didn't
you on
attack
your
Brian
head.
or call names. I'm just calling Brian and telling him the real truth. I'm just telling Brian the reasons why he needs someone
Well,
else.
let me ask you a question.
to give him something. Oh, go ahead. What's your question? How can I turn your vote?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Let me tell you something. There was a video of Trump, and I don't know if it's his friend or who, but they're standing on an escalator. A little 9-year-old girl and her mother are going up the escalator. They're at the bottom of the escalator. Trump looks at his friend and says, I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Do you think that's appropriate? And it's on tape. If you don't believe me, go to Midas Touch and you'll find the tape.
Darlene, that's very appropriate. She will be 19. Okay? She's not saying he's going to date her now or at 10 or 11 or 12.
So you agree on molesting children too? A 78-year-old
No. She'll be 19, Darlene.
Excuse me.
I'm going to
do you have any daughters? Do you have any daughters? Do you have any daughters?
I have a daughter.
Well, I feel so sorry for her. So sorry for her that she had you as a dad.
She was raised correctly. I raised her correctly. She's got her own opinions, and she's over 19.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me interject. Let me interject. And by the way, dear, thank you so much for the phone call. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tommy boy.
Vote for Trump.
Go back to Tommy. Hang on a second. Going back to when your daughter was 10 years old, let's just say. If you had somebody go up to you and say, boy, I can't wait to date your daughter in 10 years, you'd be totally okay with that statement?
She's 19. She can do what she
That's
wants.
not what I asked you. I didn't ask you she can do what she wants. That's not my question. Focus, MAGA Tommy boy, focus. When your daughter was 10 years old, if men went up to you and your daughter and said, I can't wait to date her in 10 years, would you be okay with that, yes or no?
No, I would look at them kind of strange.
Okay, thank you that's the one honest thing that you've said in this entire conversation. Tommy,
everything I've said has been honest. She's 18, she's 19, she can do what he wants, and he can date who he wants.
That might be true, Tommy. I do appreciate you calling in. Maybe at another time you can call back and we'll let people talk to you, but I don't know how much more of that I can take. But, Tommy, that's what Donald Trump said. You just said it was wrong. You know it's wrong. You'd give them a dirty look, as you said. That's the guy who you're voting for. Patrick, MAGA Patrick, let's call him, is calling up. Patrick, you're on with Lev Parnas. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to point out George Lopez, I guess just the other day, was making some jokes about Latinos on the border stealing the construction equipment if they didn't build it quick enough. I'd say that's pretty racist.
Where did he say it? Was it at a Kamala Harris rally? Where did he say it?
Yeah, he just did it, I believe, yesterday at a very small rally somewhere.
Okay, so you don't know if it was a Kamala Harris rally. You said it was a small rally somewhere, so you don't know where it was. You don't know if it was at a Kamala Harris rally, and you're comparing that statement to the statements that were made last night. I'm just curious.
It was at a rally.
But that's part of
either Tim Walz or a Kamala Harris rally.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's part of the whole MO that we used to implement, and I was part of one of the people that taught the mega cult to implement that. Is yes, you might hear something or somewhere somebody say it, and you amplify it and compare it to something huge. That's what, like Brian said, Madison Square Garden, in front of the whole world. You had not just Donald Trump, you had everybody come up there, every guest, basically, every speaker come up there and make derogatory, racist remarks one way or the other. And then you'll compare it to somewhere there's a rally with maybe 50 people and somebody will make a remark and you'll compare it and say it's the same exact thing. It's not. And that's just part of what the cult mentality does.
You can't blame me for his rallies being exponentially bigger than Tim Walz.
Okay. Well, that's nonsense, number one. And that's nonsense. That's nonsense, number one.
That's absolutely true.
Okay, so you could obsess about crowds. Hold on, Patrick. Patrick, I'm gonna give you some facts right now because I know you MAGA people struggle spelling that word. I've been to 2 Donald Trump rallies in Vegas. I've been to 2 Donald Trump rallies. Hold on, you're gonna pot him down. You're not gonna interrupt me, MAGA. You're gonna let me finish. Sorry, Lev. I have a bone to pick with this guy. Thomas and Mack Center holds 19,000 people. I've been going to that arena for 20 years, Patrick. Half of the arena was roped off. There was nobody in the upper section, maybe 6,000 people there. Donald Trump said 29,000 people were in an arena that holds 19,000. Kamala Harris was in that arena the month before. There were over 16,000 people there. It was jammed. I was in both of them, Patrick. So with all due respect, sir, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. By the way, the man who you support said that the entire country is a garbage can. Okay? Give me a comment that Tim Walz and Kamala Harris has ever said even close to that. You had people on that stage yesterday that said Puerto Rico was basically a garbage can. You had people on that stage that were attacking black people, making comments about watermelon jokes, attacking Jews. Okay, so don't you try to come in here and call into this show and say, well, George Lopez, I don't know, it might have been in front of 50 people. I don't know where it was or who it was, but that's the exact same thing. Hey, Patrick, it's not the same thing.
Not even close.
It's not even close.
Hey, I was agreeing with your guest there that his rallies was much bigger than the small rally that George Lopez made a race.
But you know what, Patrick? The other thing that you don't know, because I've been to more rallies than you have hair in your head, and I was part of putting these rallies together, that majority of those people are not there to support Donald Trump. They come there as a show. They come there to watch a show. They come there to watch. The difference between, these are political rallies. If you take a look at Kamala Harris, that's a political rally. This is where people go to show up to listen to her political stomp speech. People that show up to Donald Trump, they come up to see what's the next crazy things he's going to say, because he doesn't talk about policy. He doesn't talk about anything to unite or support this country. The only thing he comes out there is like making jokes. Even take a look at his Joe Rogan show. Joe Rogan himself said, listen, you should be a comedian, because everything you come out, you got the time, the glare of comedian. He's a showman. He's a con man, and he's a hustler. And what I recommend, if you're in Vegas, Mega Joe, please come on out to the show. I'd love to meet you, and I'd love for you to watch the movie. And I promise you'll come back on the show, and you'll be tired saying, I'll never vote for that guy again.
I'll tell you one thing we won't have, though, tomorrow night. We won't have Hulk Hogan attempting to rip his shirt off. We won't have Kid
Maybe
Rock.
Kendall will do it. Yeah. Kendall will.
We won't have that. Thank you, Lev, for putting Patrick in the correct place, but you'll still inviting him to the event, which I'm sure he won't show up to because he only shows up to pro-MAGA people.
To win the popular vote?
I'm sorry,
Is
what?
that concerning to y'all?
What?
Are y'all concerned that even CNN on their polling is talking about that Trump actually might win the popular vote?
Mega, what's concerning to me is that you won't show up and take a look at the facts. I challenge you to come tomorrow to the event. I will give you a free ticket, you personally, and I will want you to watch the movie and discuss with me, and then come on the show, on Brian's show afterwards, and then talk then.
Patrick, why don't you show up tomorrow night? You live in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Why don't you show up tomorrow night? He's offering you a free ticket. Why don't you take that opportunity?
I don't live in Vegas.
Where do you live?
But thank you for the
Where do you live?
For the opportunity.
Where do you live?
I don't live in Nevada.
Okay.
Well, I apologize for that, but I wish you were. But I'm going to put an invitation out. If there's any Brian real mega people on here that are constantly discussing with you, call on in right now. I'll choose one or two of you guys. I'll give you a free ticket. I'll bring you up there so you could come out there and see with your own eyes, hear with your own ears, and then make your decision.
I think that's very, very fair, and that's very nice of you to do.
Not able to be commander-in-chief, and nor should he. So that should be pretty telling.
It sounds to me like it's a tough choice for you. Why?
Well, because of the way she got to the top, for one.
Okay,
how did she get to the top?
How did she get to the top?
Well, I've seen a lot. I try not to judge on social media, but I have seen a lot from Judge Joe Brown, who I did some research, who actually is a judge, and he's came clean about a lot of stuff about her because she was
Judge
in
Joe Brown
the
or
Senate.
Willie Brown? Which Brown are you talking about here?
Judge Joe Brown.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well, what does that have to do with Harris? What does he know about
Well,
Harris?
I was getting to that.
Okay.
Because they were on the Senate in California, and
she was Attorney General in California. Are you talking about prior to that?
What's it? Sorry,
she was Attorney General.
Yes.
So she passes the bar. She's a prosecutor for years. She's duly elected twice as the Attorney General in San Francisco.
So not the state Senate.
Then becomes a senator. I don't understand. Like, what did she do in your mind that she didn't deserve anything that she got?
You guys keep saying that she's very educated.
Well, she is.
I have yet seen, and she's probably smarter than me. I'm just a working guy.
I'm not comparing her to you.
There's nothing wrong with you.
Right, sir, I'm not comparing her to you. All I'm simply
reacting. No, I understand. I'm
trying to
explain why I was coming up with, but
let's
you guys
back up. This is important. You just said on the phone, and you insinuated that she got to the top and maybe she didn't earn it or deserve it. And what I am asking you, because I could care less what somebody like Joe Brown said, okay? There are people on the right that lie about her on a daily basis. What I care about is evidence. And here's the evidence. She's college educated. She's never been arrested before, never committed a crime, unlike Orange Man, okay? She passed the bar. She was a prosecutor for years, became attorney general, elected twice in California, by the way, elected twice. She becomes a senator. She wins that race. And then she's chosen to be the first black vice president of the United States. I'm trying to understand why you would read something that some guy named Joe Brown said, and that just infiltrates your mind and you believe it.
It just
denigrates her. It didn't infiltrate my mind. First off, I want to let's stop bringing college education in all this, because common sense goes a long ways. Okay.
Common sense goes a long way, but so does an education, especially when you're trying to be the president of the United States.
I mean, have you heard her speak? Have you ever listened to her speak?
I have, and it kind of bothers me.
And what part of it? What part of it bothers you? What does she say
I
that
don't think
makes her not credible?
I don't think I honestly don't think either of them are competent of doing anything.
Okay, so hold on.
Hold
on. You're comparing Harris, and I want to dissect your mind on this because you don't like when she speaks, which is confusing to me. But let me ask you a question. What do you think is worse? When Kamala Harris speaks and maybe she says something you don't like, or when Donald Trump says, if Jews don't vote for me, they must hate their religion and they need to get their head examined, or when he makes up a story about Willie Brown, or when he attacks illegals coming into this country, and he tells people to go back to their S-hole countries.
Hold on. I just want to know, what about her speaking bothers you? Is it because she laughs here and there when she's speaking? That's probably a nervous tick. What about?
Yeah, what does she do that bothers you?
You guys are both kind of stepping over each other here, so I'll try to answer one and try to answer the other one at the same time. And like I said, now don't grill me on my opinions, because I haven't grilled anybody, neither of you guys, on your opinions.
No, we're just asking.
When I hear her speak,
it's not grilling. It's asking you questions and challenging you. It's not an attack, and it's not grilling. This is a radio show. I haven't called you any names. I'm not attacking you.
You sound like a very nice person.
I just want to understand, what is it about Harris when she talks that I don't just give me an example so I know.
I guess every time I've seen her speak, she hasn't brought any real things to the table. I see her dance around. I see her dance around the questions more than actually giving some good physical answers.
Okay, so what has she danced around that frustrates you? Like, give me a specific example.
That's the problem. I guess I fall in the same line as everybody else, because I stopped watching terrestrial TV years ago, and radio for that fact, because it's always swinging one way. So I catch bits and pieces here and there, and
what do you mean
grill me
for
where I get everything.
Way? You mean it's all swinging to the left? Is that what you're claiming? All the media swings to the left?
It's either the left or the right.
Okay,
look,
all right.
Yeah, the reason of calling
is that you can listen to you can listen to one of her speeches and make your own decision on it, right?
Not just here and there. That might be why you dislike her, because you're hearing little sound bites.
But what I'm getting from you is
I can't say I don't. Hold on. I can't say.
Go ahead.
Hold on one second. I can't say I'm not disliking anybody, because that's not my place to dislike somebody because I don't agree with what they say. The reason of calling in, and this is a great starting point for everybody. Let's stop. I listen to you guys talk with other callers. Stop. I think everybody just needs to back up. We need to look at both teams. But I notice
I disagree.
Okay.
We do.
I disagree. Here's why I disagree.
Well, this is the first time you've interacted with me. I'm a registered independent.
Here's why I don't need to.
The only way.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What do you think I am?
I don't answer that because it's
okay.
No political
you know
party.
What I'm saying? I'm not judgmental like that. I do think that
political party.
I left.
Okay, so you're wrong.
I do. I think you're on the left.
This is the problem.
Am I?
Okay, you're wrong.
Yeah,
see, I don't. That's why I don't like answering that question.
Okay,
okay.
Okay, but there's a reason why I asked that, because it's very dangerous to make assumptions about. Let me be very clear. I lean to the left on social issues. I've always been a registered independent. I did not vote for Barack Obama. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Joe Biden in 2020 because it was an anti-Donald Trump vote. I'll be voting for Kamala Harris in 2024 because it's an anti-Donald Trump vote. You know why I don't have to take 2 steps back? Because I know who Donald Trump is. He's a 34-count convicted felon. He's a man that attacks women on looks. He attacks POWs. He dodged the military. He's a terrible father. He's a terrible husband. He's got 5 kids with three different women. and he is a liable sexual abuser. I know who Donald Trump is, and all you have to do is look at his background, and that's not from the liberal media. Those are facts, my friend.
Right.
Now, if you don't like the way Kamala Harris speaks, and you can't give me a specific example of something that she dances around, then it's very difficult for me to have a policy conversation with you. If you said, Brian, I don't like it when she doesn't answer, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. You want to talk about policy? Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago the other day, who, by the way, didn't talk about any policies, was asked specifically by a member of the media, how are you going to vote in Florida on the abortion referendum? You know what his answer was? No answer. I'll give you that answer at a later date. If anything, the person that is not talking about policy is Donald Trump. Harris is going to be doing an interview at the end of the month. She has a debate on September 10th with Donald Trump. But I can tell you right